I've been a cab driver for over 25 years, seen all kinds of people, all kinds of nights. But there was one ride I'll never forget, one that made my stomach churn. It was a Saturday night, just past 2 a.m. I was about to call it a night when a request popped up for a pickup outside a high-end nightclub downtown. Figured I'd take one last ride before heading home. When I pulled up, the crowd was exactly what you'd expect. Drunken 20-somethings, shouting, laughing, spilling drinks. But my passenger? A well-dressed man in his late 40s, looking way too sober for the crowd he was coming from. And he wasn't alone. A young woman was hanging off his arm, except she wasn't really holding on. She was barely standing, her head lolling forward, her legs buckling in heels that were too high for someone that intoxicated. He was practically carrying her toward my car. I rolled down the window. "You Mason?" He grinned. Yeah. Thanks for waiting. My girlfriend had a little too much fun tonight." I looked at the girl. She didn't react. She didn't even lift her head. Now, I've seen drunk couples before. Some giggling, some arguing, some passed out cold in the back seat. But this felt different. This felt wrong. Still, I didn't want to jump to conclusions. I unlocked the doors, and he slid in with her. I started driving, but I kept watching them in the rearview mirror. He was whispering in her ear, touching her face, brushing her hair back. But she wasn't responding. At all. I made a casual comment. "Rough night, huh?" Nothing from her. He laughed. "Yeah, man, she's a lightweight. Told her not to mix tequila with vodka, but here we are." Something about the way he said it made my skin crawl. I checked the drop-off location. It wasn't a house, wasn't even a hotel. It was an apartment complex on the edge of the city, a very isolated part of the city. I knew I had to do something. Instead of driving there, I took a detour, turning onto a main road where I knew cops were usually stationed. I pulled into a well-lit 24-hour gas station and put the car in park. "Car trouble," I lied, pretending to check something on the dashboard. "Give me a minute." The guy sighed, annoyed. "Come on, man. Just drive." Not a chance. I casually stepped out, pretended to check a tire, and dialed 911 on my phone, keeping my voice low. "I'm a cab driver. I've got a guy with a girl who's completely out of it. Something's not right." Less than 2 minutes later, I saw flashing red and blue lights approaching. The moment the guy noticed, he panicked. He shook the girl's shoulder, trying to get her to sit up. She barely reacted. That's when he opened the door and tried to slip away. Too late. The cops were on him before he could make it 10 steps. They pulled him aside, got the girl out of my back seat. One officer crouched down, speaking to her softly. She wasn't even aware of what was happening. And then came the worst part. The police told me later, this wasn't the first time he'd done this. They had been looking for him? And that girl? She had no idea who he was. That night, I drove home shaking. Not from fear, but from anger. I don't know what would have happened to her if I had just driven off like nothing was wrong. But I do know this. I was damn glad I made that call.